Good morning, everyone. My name is Bob Turner, and we're back with the podcast. And we called this Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. We stumbled onto another extraordinary person this week. His name's Stan Skolfield. He lives in Gorham, Maine. He owns and operates Skolfield Sports Performance down here in Saco, Maine. And Stan's, he's a father. He's married to his wife, Jenny. And he's got two boys, Kyle and Casey. And he's a mentor. He's coached. He coached baseball. He coached football. He's a half Ironman finisher. Let's not forget that. Used to do some MMA fighting.
Undefeated. Retired undefeated.
Undefeated
Just want
MMA.
that known right there. One fight.
And while we're on talking about athletic accomplishments, we might as well just say that Stan was also the 1988 and 1989 Maine State Diving Champion.
Yes, and if you go on my Facebook page, I just did a recent dive to show like where I am in my career today. You can go find that at Stan Skolfield on Facebook if you'd like.
Right. He had hair in the back in the high school days, so you might not recognize him. But Stan loves to hunt and fish. Loves to kill shit.
Avid outdoorsman, and it's free food, right? And it's the healthiest food you can get, right? Have you ever seen the amino profile that comes out of a deer? Healthy fat, high protein, leaner than turkey. I mean, what else can you ask for?
Right.
And you get to spend time in the woods where it's quiet.
And I've also seen you on social media doing man in training with the boys.
Yes, we do. You know, that's part of your responsibility as an adult is, man in training. You got to teach them a lot of the stuff that's going to be required of them to be a man throughout the day, whether it's learning to build fires, hunt, fish, or just generally teaching life lessons in very dynamic ways.
Now, Kyle's a senior.
Yep.
Casey's a freshman.
Kyle's a senior, Casey's a freshman, and I avidly get them down here. And I have a saying around my household, right? As you talk about like man in training, you're either going to grow up real smart or real strong. And if you've seen my son Kyle, he's a little bit bigger than I am. If on our Schofield Performance page, he just deadlifted 425 pounds plus 30 pounds of change. So
he's real strong.
So he's real strong.
All right. Well, I've known you for it's got to be 12, 15 years now.
Right.
Since we started, we used to come down in this room and do what we called the speed lab and ride some bikes and train and then after that, during that you were when this facility was OA and you handled this facility. They went in a different direction. You went out of here for a couple of years and then oddly enough, leased this space back as Schofield Sports Performance. And now Stan is in here. He's got a killer facility. You're running the show. It's your own business. You're calling the shots. How's that feel?
Wow, very rewarding, right? It's very rewarding to be back for a number of different reasons, but it's good to be back, doing your own thing and just doing it, having it, it's a change, which is great. There's parts of it that are a little bit scarier along the way, and you're still learning and adjusting along the way. But, being back in here to me, it's like home. It's like, kind of a place I help create. And being part of it, for me, it's kind of the perfect facility. Everything I like to do is in here, and how we function and how we train is this place to me is kind of the ideal setup. And I was lucky enough at the ground level to be able to kind of be part of the original design, because this place, if you look at this building, it's 140,000 square feet.
It's
right?
Killer, yeah.
There's a number of businesses in here, and literally when I walked in here, it was the classic like pigeon coop, water dripping out of the ceilings, but you could see the concept and what it was going to look like. And ultimately now it's transformed into this building with several different types of businesses, centered around, our particular area is centered around sports medicine and sports performance. So it's evolved a long way from just a pigeon coop into what it is now. And, it's been here, this space has been here for almost 13 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Let's back up a bit, and I want to come back to this, but back up a bit to, after high school. So if someone's looking at, I always like to give people an example of how, if they were looking at, whoever I'm interviewing, that, geez, I'd kind of like to do that for a living. How did you get where you are today? And I know that you went to UMaine. I also know that you were in the Coast Guard. Navy, sorry. Diving. And, I know that you're an ATC, an athletic trainer. Your other designation is Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. Those are no joke things.
Right.
big arrows in your quiver, so to speak, in this business. So, how'd you know you wanted to do that? Where'd you start, and kind of, how did it end up here?
So, wow, I could start that in a number of different areas. But I tell this story like in all my presentations when people ask me, how did you get started with this? And I start with this story. A friend of mine told me this a long time ago. It's always resonated with me. And it goes like this. If you want to feel good for a day, go fishing. Want to feel good for a week? Go on vacation. I just got back vacation, right?
He browned right up.
But if you want to feel good for a lifetime, help people. And for me, that for me is what drives me, right?
Yep.
Like that's what provides me, like, being able to have an impact on people, whether it's through coaching, whether it's through medicine, whether it's through a number of different avenues. Like that
your why.
story
That's
is
your
my
why.
why,
Yep.
right? And it really kind of explains it. And if you look back at my track record, like I went to Scarborough High School. Like you said, I'm 2-time state diving champion. But the ironic thing is Scarborough back then didn't have a swim team, right? I was the swim team. And so I had to go independently. It was a long process, but I was able to kind of compete exhibition-wise and then go compete in a state meet. And I won 2 state championships with not even a program behind me.
Wow.
And then went on and competed at a Division I level in diving at the University of Maine. And while I was there, I kind of got burnt down on the diving thing. I wasn't real sure about what I wanted to do for a career, and that happens all the time. But I had always had this pull about like wanting to be in the military and see things. So after my sophomore year, I left, went in the military. And just before I went in the military, I did get hurt. And I got introduced to this thing called athletic training. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, but I'm going over here. So I was a search and rescue swimmer in the Navy. And when I was getting out, I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna pursue this athletic training thing. So I went to the University of Southern Maine, which at that time didn't have an athletic training program. You had to do what was self-designed major. So, you look at my history, I'm really good at kind of starting things from the ground up, right? Entrepreneurship is my thing. So, I had to design my own major, at the University of Southern Maine in athletic training. And I also got drawn to the strength and conditioning side of things. And once I started doing that, my goal was always, hey, I want to work for the Boston Red Sox. So graduated with a degree in athletic training from USM. First job out of college, Boston Red Sox.
No kidding. How'd you pull that off?
I just had the right experience. Like I got to work for the legend, Ed Flaherty, worked in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Just tried to set myself up so that I could have that.
Did you play baseball as a kid?
I did play baseball. I was a baseball and tennis player, so I did tennis for a little bit in high school. Also, then my senior year played baseball. Okay. But just never really diving was my thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I got the jobs at Boston Red Sox, which was awesome. And I tell people, it was a fantastic experience. It really taught me more than anything all about time management. Right. You work 14, 16-hour days. 7 days a week from February to September. You got to be on your game, because the easy part is like actually covering the games and working guys out. It's like all the stuff that you got to do, and from booking the hotels to, getting the guys to a gym, to moving players if they got to move up or down, taking care of the laundry, taking care of a number of different things. Like that's the easy part of the day. Right. And then there's things that pop up in the middle of that. So you have to have really good time management skills. And then, left them and went to work for Orthopedic Group, OA Centers for Orthopedic. And at the time it was Health South, started working physical therapy there, which was great. And then also worked at a high school, and then gradually on the side I was doing sports performance training. I was like one of the first people to be doing it in the area.
Right.
And from there, I got them bought into this concept about, we should open a performance center. And lo and behold, I got these docs to spend millions of dollars, and we built this beautiful facility here, which the idea that back then it was a concept no one else was doing. It's like we want to have an integrated concept where everything along the sports medicine continuum was covered. From, hey, if you got hurt, we got you covered. We got the best specialists in there that's going to take care of the care. If you need surgery, we'll take care of that. You need rehabilitation, we got you covered there. We've got specialists in every single area related to kind of sports. But what we didn't have was a way to prevent those injuries, a way for kids to kind of recondition or reassimilate back to the field if they had injuries.
Right.
And we also didn't have a way to kind of enhance that performance. And that's where this concept kind of came in of opening this facility that was the first of its kind and also still remains the largest of its kind within the state. And, you know, during my 10-year, wow.
Pretty good.
Doing that, we worked with, you know, thousands of athletes. And it's been from everything from 7 years old all the way to guys like you.
Just working on my game down here.
Right.
3 days a week. Getting back to the kids, when I was a kid, you played, you know, I was a 3-sport athlete. I wasn't a superstar, but, you know, in baseball, you played baseball season, you played baseball.
Right.
Fall, I played soccer. Other guys played football at schools that had it, you know, and then when that season was over, you started dribbling the basketball and got ready for basketball season. But now it seems that if you're not specializing from 10, 12 years old on, you're behind. What's your philosophy on that with regard to just the health of kids today overall, you know, pitchers and their arm, or, you know, are you from a school of thought where, hey, there's only, I think you said 7% of kids actually kind of move on, whether it's
Play a Division I sport.
Play Division I sport. So are they better off to be a more well-rounded athlete and not even specialize until, you know, either high school or even beyond? What are your thoughts around that?
So you kind of nailed it, right? Like this is the problem that we have in this country that, you know, a lot of other countries don't subscribe to, right? In you know, like you just said, during the fall, right? You play football and you do everything related to football or soccer. You kick the ball with your right foot, your left foot, you know, dribble the ball off your head, like whatever it is. Then it moves on to basketball season. So you work on your dribbling, right hand, left hand, behind the back, work on your foul shot.
You might play summer ball, right? Like
right.
In the summer I had summer basketball. You could play summer soccer, but it was kind of about the time I was in high school, which is about the same time you were, that, you know, the travel soccer came about.
Yeah.
You know, and if you weren't playing travel soccer, like the guys that played travel soccer that were on my high school soccer team were far and away better than me.
Yeah.
You know, so I know that it had an effect, but then they would then they wouldn't play basketball. Well, we lost them off the baseball team because they were focusing on soccer. You know,
well, you had that change too, as it relates to, you know, that whole book. I forget the name of it, but, you know, the 10,000 hours rule,
yeah,
and that
become an expert.
Started to change everything. But the point I was gonna make is like what people miss out on, what they forget about was like what makes you a really good athlete is what we call your foundation.
Yep.
Right? Like during basketball season, you're not working on your baseball skills. During the baseball season,
right.
You're not working on your football skills, right? You're just working on the skill of your sport. But what makes you a great athlete is strength, speed, power, agility, mobility, flexibility. Because you know what all that leads to? Ultimately, is greater self-confidence.
Right.
Now, if I go and grow that foundation, part of that, it makes the skill of my sport way easier.
Nobody taught us how to run.
Right.
I didn't know how to run. You just run. Go run.
Yeah.
You know? But
and you've
down
coached.
here, you're teaching people how to run.
Yeah, and you coached, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of coaches tell you, like, hey, I'll take a kid that's has a way bigger athletic foundation or way more athleticism over a kid that's played a sport for 5 years in a row.
That happened with me. I was a basketball player, had never played soccer, and went down to the field after tryouts. And I remember my dad saying, "Do you want to play?" I'm like, I kind of missed tryouts, you know. So we went down and saw the coach. He's like, "You play basketball?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Good, get out there." And then I said, "Wait a minute. Let me just get this straight. If I act like I'm going for the ball and I happen to run that guy over, that's not a foul?" They said, "No." I said, "Sign me up." Yeah. They said, "You're on defense."
Right.
Perfect.
That's great. Yeah, I know, but it's like I said. So when you get back to like, hey, yeah, there's a whole specialization going on in sports. Hey, this day and age, man, it is hard to be a legit 3-sport athlete because everybody wants you, and then you also add in like all the travel sports that are going on. Like you're pulling for time here, so. even your best athletes to play 3 sports, very difficult. 2 sports right now is kind of, I would say, is almost a sweet spot. And, you always kind of go back to, like, I say this, and being a dad and you with 2 boys that are both play sports, you're always like, oh yeah, they got to play sports, they got to do this. And then you start doing it and you realize, like, man, that's hard. It's not only, they want to play teams, and if you want to them to play at like a higher level, like, yeah, you got to do the travel thing.
Right.
And it's
well, and if you're looking to move on or go D1 or whatever, there are people that go to those travel events. They're looking at kids. They're scouting.
Right.
So if you need to be noticed or want to be noticed or get seen or get exposure, that's how, excuse me, that's how you do it.
Yeah, and but getting back to what I was saying is, like, the easily overlooked part of that, which can get, is like, hey, you got to work on your athleticism first.
Right.
At the end of the day, right? Like, you can do skill, but if you want to get to those better levels, like, you're gonna need to work on your athleticism. I mean, again, you look at, and for those of you guys who kind of question that, like, look at just homegrown talent, right? Ryan Flaherty, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Flaherty worked on his strength and conditioning. He'll tell you that as a kid. I know because I worked with him, and then he worked with a peer of mine, Eric Cressy, and whatnot. But you look at him, like, Eric, in addition to being a great baseball player, he was also the quarterback of the football team and also played basketball.
Yeah.
Right? So, well-rounded athlete.
Good
If you look at that, like Tom Brady, great foundation. Not only was Tom a great football player, but he also was a great baseball player, which people don't know. So it's like, my point with all that is, you got to have that athletic foundation first. Great athletes have that. It's not just skill, because and we've read all about the host of problems that it kind of comes with, beside when it comes to injuries and burnout and everything like that. I remember reading a quote one day, and the guy said, related to, like, the parents that just push their kids just one sport and that's it. And they're like, for every Tiger Woods out there's 10,000 other kids that hate their parents for pushing them that way.
Yeah.
Right?
What would you say to a parent today and do you have to have those hard conversations with some parents from time to time where you're like, listen, little Johnny he's going hard here, but he's probably not, top tier. Or, hey, listen, you need to just back off a little bit and let the kid be a kid. Or, hey, he wants to play lacrosse this year. You have parents that are really, like, you see them just full tilt on their kid, really pushing hard.
You do. You do have those. And in terms of having those conversations, I haven't had too many of those. I've had a few, like when I actually coached, I had to do that, where parents are like pushing too hard and be like, hey, listen, let me be a coach and let the kid be a kid, right? Like, allow him to make mistakes, allow him to go through that process, and because that's how he's going to develop, right? But you just kind of ramming it down his throat, like,
it's not fun.
Do this. All of a sudden it becomes not fun anymore. And like I just said, for every Tiger Woods, there's 10,000 kids out there that hate their parents.
Yeah.
Right? There's all kinds of those stories out there. And so at the end of the day, it's also just trying to remind people, like, the reason why we play sports really is because we want to feel good about ourselves.
Right.
We want that feeling. Like, and the other part of that is you're trying to teach life lessons about, like, hey, failure, adversity, like, those are critical components that we need in today's society to be able to allow, like, kids to thrive that, like, they don't necessarily get anywhere else.
I know. I always say I learned so much of what I learned about life. I learned on the athletic field or the court. Right. Mm-hmm. You learn how to win. You learn how to lose. You deal with adversity, failure, success, all of that stuff, and you pull from that going forward in your life. And people that didn't play sports, I think, miss that to some degree. So, well, let's pull it forward a little bit. We've talked about high school and again, Maine State Diving Championship. So we've done that, and
undefeated MMA athlete. I want you to know
exactly.
That too,
From what I understand, Jenny made you quit. But whatever. But I did see the fight, and it is legit, and it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
So
might not be the most exciting fight you've ever seen in your whole life.
Ground and pound, baby. Ground and pound. Yeah. So here we are. A bunch of years later. So you weren't in this facility when you started Skolfield Sports, and then COVID hit.
Right.
So, I mean, I know that Foley was just getting started, and COVID hit, and he had to shut that facility down, and everybody's wearing masks, and you're in here sandwiched between a orthopedic practice.
I wasn't even in here yet.
Now you are, but I mean, over there, they're wearing masks over there.
Yeah.
There's a PT practice over there. They're wearing masks.
Right.
You're here in the middle doing your thing, right?
Yeah.
But how did COVID? I mean, you started back at it, and all of a sudden COVID hit. You must have been like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do now?"
Right. Yeah. No, it was pretty crazy. When I started this business, I had contacted a buddy of mine, Ben McCrillis, who owns Train Maine, and started my business out of there. And and I was just getting going. I was just starting to gain momentum. I had probably 15 athletes or so. And it was going great, and then COVID hits, right? And it hit at the most inopportune time where all these athletes that I'd worked with for months and months and months were about to go hit the field, and here it is, like now I'm going to have some people to showcase, like,
right.
And everything gets shut down, and then it's like, well, how do I keep these kids going? What do we do? And not only that, but not for nothing, like those were hard times. Like I didn't have any money coming in.
Right.
I'm not training them. My wife. At the same time, I left OA, my wife left her job at Maine Med. So this was the income. And dude, you want to talk about some adversity. Like that was hard. You know, like I laugh about it now, but man, I can remember sitting there like, man, something's got to give. Like I still get teared up over it because you're like, man, that was such an emotional, tough time. But it gets lifted, and believe it or not, like as hard as COVID was, it was one of the best things for my business because the kids couldn't do anything else.
Right.
So they weren't allowed to play sports. They weren't allowed to touch anything. But you know what? They could come in and work out.
Yeah.
And parents and athletes, like these kids want something to do. They want to move. And all of a sudden, we had that outlet, and we just grew exponentially from there. And so much so that I was able to, move out of Ben's place, or not able to, I had to, just because the business was growing, and we're able to kind of get in here. But so COVID was was really tough to kind of get through.
This place sat idle. This place sat idle. Did you have your eye on this? Like, was it in the back of your mind? Like, was that end game for you? Like, I got to get this space back?
Well, when I knew it was idle, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
How cool would that be to get back in there? And it's like, this is so ideal for my business. I just know how to run it out of there.
Yeah.
So I was like, we
like
put the feelers out, and we were able to get it done. And I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Here we go. Right. Like, and then I just knew, like, if I can get that, I know I can begin to kind of grow this business and really have a great product.
So, how many employees do you have, and how many clients do you have? What's the genetic makeup of what you've got going on here?
So I've got 3 coaches that work for me, and it's my wife and myself. So Jenny, by the way, but it's not just, even though it says Skolfield Performance, there's another
every
whole
successful man,
right?
A successful woman,
right? So I mean, this business doesn't happen without Jenny, like hands down. Like,
what is she
I could
doing?
Be the face. So Jenny is
everything.
Yeah, Jenny's the CIO, the CFO, the human resources, really almost a CEO.
She's in the apparel business, clearly.
In the apparel business, like this place doesn't run for her. She's the behind the scenes, like
she's the straw that stirs the drink.
Right. She keeps me in line. She keeps the staff in line.
How does that go? I mean, you guys she was working corporate, you were working corporate. Now you're running a business together. How does that go?
Well, the good thing about it is Jenny makes up for my weaknesses. Like, Jenny is very, very strong in operations.
Yep.
She's very highly organized. She's disciplined. She gets things done, right?
Yep.
And that for me is like, I don't operate the same way, right?
Yeah.
Like I operate like, I'm just going to go with things, and she helps put processes in place and takes care of the things that like I don't want to do, but hey, let's not discount it now. Like, hey, there's some healthy conflict that goes on weekly. when it comes to business dealings in here and everything, right? So we're both passionate about what we do, but we're also married to each other, and that's the part that we're still trying to like make the balance of is like, hey, we work together all day, and normally you're able to kind of come home, you leave the office there.
Hey, nice to see you.
Yeah, and then you get home at 6, 7 at night, and you're like still talking business.
Get those invoices out.
Right.
Yeah.
So we still like kind of are working through that part of it, but overall, I couldn't ask for like a better partner, because it's somebody that you trust, and it works really well,
So 3 coaches, and you and Jenny running it.
Yep.
No, this isn't this isn't Planet Fitness.
No.
You don't come down here and swipe your card and come in and do your thing and spend a couple hours and then, get on the tanning bed after.
No.
This is you come here. This is private training and semi-private training. Okay.
Right.
I know this because I work out here.
Yeah.
And I can speak to it because I think we're in year 2 of you trying to make something out of me.
Yeah.
And we're getting there. One of the things I'll mention with Stan is that when I first called him and said, dude, I need your help. My back hurts. You guys have heard me talk about this. I got to get back on track. And he said, yep. And one of the first things you said when we talked about it before we hit record is that I won't work with you if you don't come in 3 times a week.
Right.
So, it occurred to me, I said, here's a guy that's protecting his brand, because you don't want me walking around 400 pounds saying I go down to Stan's once a week.
Right.
work out with him.
Yeah.
But the business model here is private training.
Right.
It's not inexpensive, and you don't make any bones about that. You got a quality product. You rewrite my program every 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I know that I've got to burn through this. Not one rep gets done out here that doesn't get written down.
Right.
Right.
Right. Hands
so
down.
when I go over to a different gym, I walk into Planet Fitness and everybody's just yucking it up. I'm like, these guys, they don't have a plan. They're not on track. God bless them. They're at the gym.
Right.
And that's all great. But this is different. Talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't do anything here that I don't do myself and don't believe in, hands down. Right. So it's like, I don't work people out once, twice a week. Right. Because we all know like working out once, twice a week doesn't get you anywhere. Minimum 3 days a week, because my business is based upon results, hands down. And the only way I know about to get results is minimum number of days to train with us, 3 days a week, right? Some athletes do 4. It all depends on kind of where they are, right? So majority of my clientele, I don't take anybody under the age of 13 because, again, I'm not the low-cost option.
Right.
But I am the option of getting it done, right? So I want to make sure at 13, emotionally, they're mature enough to kind of handle this training. And also, hey, let's make sure we kind of capture the hormonal effect that's going to begin going on here as well. So that's a large part of it. So everything we do here is kind of individualized and personalized. And it all starts with an evaluation. Like our evaluation is an hour and a half long. It's not a quick, couple of movements and then see you later. Like we have very specific interview techniques that we do with our athletes. I require every time that an athlete comes in, that they bring their parent in, because, not for nothing, I know how teenage boys communicate. You ask your parents done with the eval, they come back, well, how'd it go? Good. Well, what'd you do? Nothing. And it's like, no, that's not how it works, right?
And they're writing the check, so they're looking for some, they want to make sure that it's a good investment, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like I can relate to my clients, my parents, because I'm one of them, right? Like, I know like what it's like to kind of spend money to have that training done, but it's only expensive if you don't get the results you're looking for.
It must be pretty cool. Now you're in Gorham,
and
the kids play in Gorham, but you work with kids from Scarborough. I saw a Scarborough kid in here this morning, Chevrolet, wherever, Falmouth.
I got kids come from Waterville.
Yeah, but so your summer must be kind of cool when you walk around and see these athletic fields, or you go to a game and somebody's on the other team and a kid yanks one over the fence that's been in here busting his ass all winter and put on 20 pounds of muscle. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen that time and time again.
Right. Oh, no, it's great. I mean, it's the number one reason why you do it, right? Is I go back to, it's like, what's your impact,
right?
On them, You know, like what's your impact on them, not only just athletically, but also mentally? Like what have you given them for confidence to be able to go make that team and go out and have that level of success? Like I just had a girl that has been with us for 4 months. I actually, Dad, I've been here for a while. Like I was her father's athletic trainer when she played college hockey. When he played college hockey at USM.
Yeah.
And she was a girl, decent softball player, having success, but Dad just knew like she needs strength, she needs a little bit more. Went to Florida last week, yanked a walk-off grand slam.
Wow.
Last week, first ever, right? And she comes in the door and she's like, "Did you hear what happened?" I'm like, "Well, I heard you guys won a game." She's like, "Won the game?" She goes, "I hit a walk-off grand slam." Like those stories, like it gives, dude, goosebumps right there, like goosebumps. That's what inspires
awesome.
me, you know, to do that. And so it's, you go back to like, the funny part is, you know, people ask me like, "So what do you do for your business? What is your business?" And the easy summary is like, "Man, I got the coolest job in the world." Like,
right.
I sell self-esteem for kids, hands down. You know, if you want to summarize it that way, right?
That's pretty cool.
It's.
I'd argue that you sell it for adults too.
Yeah.
You know,
so
because I come down here and you and I talked about it this morning. Is, you know, this isn't a hop, skip, and a jump for me.
No.
Down here, and I'm driving down here going, I can't keep driving down here. This takes a long time to get down here, but it's an appointment, and it's accountability, and it's, I know Jason's waiting for me to get here at 6 a.m. because we're going to crush some weights, and then I'm going to go get on with my day.
Right.
You know, so, and, you know, as a 52-year-old guy, everybody wants to look their best. You know, we were just talking about that in your office before we jumped on here about, you know, where do you want to be? What are we trying to accomplish here? You said to me, I don't want you just coming down here to work out.
Yeah.
So you're really checking in with people. You're giving them a direction. You're circling back and making sure how everybody's doing. And I noticed that with you the other day, and I noticed it with Mike Foley as well, where you guys are out in your gym. And you're paying attention to your clients. I like that. Mike said something to me the other day where, and I repeated this to you, is, you know, how do you set yourself apart from, you know, you see the life cycle of a gym is to start here, a lot of clients, and then just kind of over time, it just goes away. Mike's comment was that we're building a community.
Yeah.
You know, and he said the people that come here, they come. It's not like everybody just signs up a bunch at New Year's Day and comes until mid-February and that's the end of it. This could be the busiest time of year. Everybody's looking to get outside. They want to look their best. They're looking to cover some sins over the winter. You know,
right.
But getting back to that, you're here. Your role here now is you're not training everybody that comes through the door. You're running the business, but you're still identifying. You can still, you know, go out and talk to everybody that's on the turf.
Right. So I mean, anybody new that comes into my business, I'm the first face you see. Right.
Yeah.
I'm the one doing the evaluation. Number one, I want to make sure you're the right fit for our program because we don't take everybody. Right. And I don't say that from an elitist standpoint, but it's like, listen, if you're just here to drop your kid off to get them a workout, like that's not what we're about.
Yeah.
We've built a culture here of athletes that want to get to the next level, right? Like that's my branding. Everything you need to get to the next level. And part of that is building a culture around that where you've got like-minded athletes and individuals that are looking to accomplish goals. And so that's what we're really trying to build around here. So it's, you know, and kind of going back to like with Mike Foley, it's like, you know, I go back to one of the reasons why he has success and you know, I've had some success is an easy way to look at it is like, are you in it? Like, are you in like fitness or are you into it?
Right.
Like, do you live, breathe, like love it? Like I can go and read, I listen to at least 4 podcasts a week. I read a book. I probably watch 4 or 5 YouTube videos. Read articles constantly on fitness, nutrition, sports performance. I just can't help it. I'm so into it. Plus, I experiment on myself and work out. Mike Foley, same exact way. You know.
Another commonality between you guys. Have you ever listened to Ben Newman, coach? He's a mental strength coach. He's great. One of the things he says is that came to mind when you were talking about it is, don't be seduced by your success.
Right.
Right. So, and Mike said that. He goes, gym owners become successful, they take their eye off the ball. 4 years later, they're out. One of the other things you just said that resonated with me was everything you need to get to the next level. What else? Are you paying attention to what these kids eat? I hear you say, hey, Jimmy, you've got it right on the board. These kids, I'm in here trying to lose weight. These guys are trying to gain weight.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, Jimmy, you weigh in, you're right there. You're down a pound, you're supposed to be up 2. What's going on? So you're getting into what they're eating.
Right. So it's like, so we're comprehensive program. So we do everything from strength, speed, agility, mobility, flexibility, and the big thing with these guys and gals is nutrition, right? Like they all come in the same way, and a lot of them are underweight. One of the big things I tell kids is like, if you're trying to get recruited for college, not for nothing, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", 150 pounds is a dime a dozen in the state of Maine, right? And if you're really looking to kind of stand out, like who stands out? It's these bigger, stronger athletes.
Right.
So we quickly figure out, like, do calculation, optimize height to weight ratio based upon your position and what you do for sport. And then we set, like, here's our weight goal is going to be, right? And then we hold you accountable to getting to that weight. And so, but we're going to help you along the way, right? We're going to tell you how many calories you have to eat. We're going to give you strategies on how to build your meals, how to get them in during the day. And keep you motivated along the way. But the biggest things that people need, whether it's you or the 14-year-old kid, it's like you need somebody to hold you accountable for your actions, right? You tell me your goal is to play Division III baseball, and you want to weigh 175 pounds and you're at 140, like you can best believe like your goals become our goals.
Right.
And we're going to hold you to that. And I hold you to that every single time you come in. And we don't do it from a drill sergeant standpoint. We're going to do it from a love and inspiration kind of standpoint to get you to where you want to be, because we want more success stories like we just heard about that walk-off grand slam.
Right.
Or the walk-on of that team right there. Or, hey, I just overcame this injury right here, and went from gonna need surgery, may not come back, to, wow, now I'm throwing mid-80s again. Like that's the stuff that we're looking for to get out of in our system, and that's just how we've, kind of what drives us.
Yeah, no, cool stuff. So, no question, you've had some success. What do you see? Flash forward 5 years, 10 years. What do you see for this business? Are you out in a tree stand with your bow? Is this thing running itself? Do you have 6 coaches instead of 3? Where do you want to go?
The goal really is Jenny and I have talked, and I think that's still a work in progress. We're still so new into this business, and I think we want to see where it takes us. My number one goal is just do things really, really well right here, right?
Rest takes care of itself. Right?
Yeah, and just kind of see what kind of opportunities do it itself. Ultimately, my goal is provide a great business, have an impact, on the kids in my community, but at the same time, like, yeah, do I want to take a month off in November every year to be able to
pretty
go
much
bow hunt?
do anyway, don't you?
I'm able to work it out, but like that's that's what I want to do. I want
That's your
this
passion.
business. Yeah, that's what I love.
Like being in the woods?
Doing. Be in the woods, being outdoors. That's why I live in this state, like the way and have for years. Like, and I don't want to leave. So it's that's what I really enjoy doing, and I just kind of make it a part of this.
What would you say to a kid or some parents where they've got a kid that think they got some pretty good capability, but he might be struggling with how to put it all together? Should they reach out to you and come down for an eval, or do they get you on the phone first, and how does that go?
So you ask if they should reach out to me and get in touch with me. It's like I always say, only if you want to get better.
You said that to me a lot. Don't lift that, Bob. Only if you want to get stronger.
Yeah, only if you want to get stronger. But yeah, so reach out to me, and I tell people all the time, like, have a conversation with me. When you call me up on the phone asking about training for your son or daughter and seeing if see if the right fit, I'm going to have a conversation with you, to see what are you looking for, and really, like, are we going to be able to provide you with what you want? But I also want to learn about your son, your daughter, where they're at, what teams they play on, what do they do, what have they had for injuries, and then kind of compile, like, yeah, here's how I think our system and our program can help you out, and what do you think? And then the first step is bringing them in for that evaluation, right? And even at the end of that, there's no, you don't have to feel compelled like you're going to buy anything from me, right? It's only you've come to that conclusion, like, yeah, we can really help you out. But what I go back to is like, hey, you've got to figure out where, you clearly when parents come and call me about their son or daughter, there's a problem going on, right? Yeah. There's a problem going on. Either they're not getting looked at, or they've got injuries, or something else, right? And my business was derived from being able to provide a solution to that problem. And everything that we do, when I say we're comprehensive, that's what we're about. We're about providing, hey, everything you need.
Do you have people flush out, or is what's your success rate with people? Are you 9 out of 10 kids that come in here are getting stronger, making the team, going to the next level? I mean, it's very results-driven business. But do you have some guys, girls that are just like, hey, you know what, this isn't for me?
Very few. Of course, no one has 100% success, right? Like I've never had anybody kind of walk out of here and be like, this is not what I paid for. Kids typically, if they don't return, the most common one, they've gone off to college.
Right. And
They've
those
gone off to
guys
college.
come back.
And those guys come back,
Yeah.
right?
I've seen them in here, and they're here for a few weeks and doing their thing, and then they're back to school.
But the other one, big one too, it comes back to what we talked about at the beginning, is like you're competing for time.
Right.
Like they just realize, like, man, I don't have a ton of time between school and sports, and then I'm adding this to my plate. Like that can get very, very busy and overwhelming, and you have to kind of figure out like what's a priority. So I bet you I can count, of the athletes that's come through our door, it's less than on two hands the number of athletes that haven't returned.
Yeah.
Right. It's very, very few. It may even be one hand.
It's very structured, because I know that I budget an hour, but if I get it done in 48 minutes, I'm out the door. There isn't anything else. My work is done. That's the volume for today. Yep. I'm out. I go grab a shower. I'm done starting my work day. So if I'm a little slower that day, it takes an hour. Big deal. It's not the end of the world. But I'm not lingering at the gym for a couple of hours. Like I went to the gym. I was 2 hours at the gym today. Well, what did you do? I talked to a bunch of people and strutted around, and
Yeah, and
didn't do anything.
The other thing I'll say to that, like, I think the other reason why we've had such low turnover too is I do a good job of filtering those people out in the eval. Because I'll tell you up front, like, whether or not you're the right fit for our business, right? Some kids just aren't ready. Some kids are just too busy.
Yeah.
And I just try to say, like, hey, listen, now's not necessarily the right time for you to come do this. So if you're getting a program, like, you're there because it's going to suit you.
Well, in your positioned, I don't know, I'll stop short of calling it a niche market, but you're positioned well with, you make no apologies for not being the low-cost alternative.
Right.
What I'll say to that is that I think, and I've seen this in my business, where the more people pay, the closer they listen. Well, the more committed they are, right?
Right.
Like, I'm down here saying, well, this isn't cheap. I got to do my thing here. I need to get the ROI, so I'm not mailing it in because it's important to me. It costs me some money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes I've wondered with the kids, though, I guess, and that goes back to the connection with the parent. Like, if a parent is spending a certain amount of money to send Johnny here, does he have the appreciation for what it takes to, put him through 6 months of training here?
They do, because I tell them that during the evaluation.
Yeah.
Because part of what our motivational interviewing is in the setting goals part, is I ask them, like, okay, in your life right now, here's what you got going on. You got your social life, you got social media, you got school, you got sports, you got family, you got a number of things. Pull, like, this goal right here on a scale of 1 to 10, like, how important is it to you? And if it's less than a 7, like, you're probably not the right fit. But then I say, if they say it's an 8 or 9, I'm like, okay, you said it's an 8 or 9. Now understand, like, we're not the low cost option. This is not cheap for your parents. They're making a huge commitment to this program.
You lay it right on them.
So when you say 8 or 10, you're making a huge commitment too. And I'm having you say this in front of your parents so that they hear it too. And they get it.
Yeah.
But I've also, at that point, I've also outlined, like, I make them say, here's the other big thing is, like, you know, a lot of places, they don't have the kids come out and say, like, why are you here, right? Like, what do you want to do with it? You've got to, if you don't have goals, I say this all the time, if you don't have goals, you're an archer without a target, right? Like, you've got to understand why you're here. Like, you're not here just to go work out and run faster and eat better. Like, I'm here because I want to get stronger, faster, have more exit velocity, kick the ball harder because I want to go play in a Division I program. And once you know that, like, you know, then you become driven, right? And what's David Goggins say? Like, you know, if you're driven, everything in front of you gets destroyed, right? And it's like, that goes somewhere. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we, you know, kids kind of stay with us is because, hey, they've got a goal and they've got an understanding, and then the parents see the value in the program.
Speaking of that, is there a life cycle of a kid in this program, or you have some kids that have been with you since they were 13 and they're senior in high school, and
you got it.
Yeah,
you know,
staying right with you.
I've had kids, you know, and when I first started this business, before I even was doing the strength and conditioning side, I was doing just the pitching side.
Yeah.
And I've got guys. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 guys right now that started that with me and then came over here in the strength and conditioning side and have been with me from when I was at Train Maine to here, you know, and they're still coming. But yeah, they started.
And you get people too, like there's a guy that comes in the morning with me, and he's my age, but he's playing men's league baseball.
Right.
And he's just trying to stay in the game.
Yeah.
And he's working and he's doing his strength, and he's like, yeah, we're just starting to practice now, and he's extended his athletic career.
Right.
Which is kind of cool when
Yeah.
you think about it, you know, that he's recognized the need to make sure that he can, you know, have functional movement and, you know, perform at a high level.
Yeah.
Even at, you know, 50 plus, you know.
Yeah, and it's with the adult population, which is, you know, that try to help. I go back to, like, when it comes to fitness, and it's my own belief. Like, one of the main reasons I still work out, and I'm passionate about bow hunting and hunting, because it makes the things that you like to do that much better. Right? Like, there's nothing worse, because I've done it. There's nothing worse than trying to climb a tree when you're 30 pounds overweight.
Drag a deer out. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, but it's way easier when you're limber and you can move and you've got the strength to get up there, or you're going to drag this deer uphill and through a swamp.
Safer.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's same with our clients. It's like the things that you like to do, it becomes that much better. And those people tell you, like, hell, I had a great season, or I had more fun, I was able to move, I definitely noticed a difference because of this or that. It's like, that's what it kind of comes down to.
Cool. Well, a couple more questions as we wrap up. I always ask people this: what's your favorite part about coming to work and what you do?
Favorite part of coming to work is actually interacting with the kids.
Yeah.
You know, even if I could, I would sit on that floor from 2 in the afternoon to 8 p.m. and train kids nonstop.
Yeah.
I could do that all day, every day, but that's not my responsibility as a business owner to be able to do that. I need to share that time to develop my staff and allow them to do that so I can work on the other elements of my business. But hands down, like, I can't help it. Like, I watch kids come through here and I want to go talk to them and ask them how their day was and then help move them through their workout. Hands down, best part of my day.
That's, I mean, what you touched on there is kind of a hard thing if you take a carpenter and make him a business owner. You're the technician here, really.
Yeah.
And now, because you've created this culture and atmosphere and environment and business, now you're out here working on the business. So you have to be creative about finding ways to step back in and stay in touch and be able to see the people and, you know, and stay connected.
Right. Yeah. No, you have to, and it's. For me, I'm lucky it just kind of comes naturally because I want to do that. I want to talk to them. I want to talk to their parents when they come in.
Right.
You know, it's hard. It's hard for me to, to like, all right, I just need to go sit in that office, ignore everything that's going on out there, and I got to get this done because I want, the focus.
What's a typical day for you?
Typical day for me, I get up at 4 a.m., have a cup of coffee, pat dog, and then I actually do some work. It's the quietest time of my day where I don't have any interruptions. So that's the time for me to work on whatever I need to work on. For me right now, it's working on my business, on trying to put together protocols, operations stuff. I do that to about 6 a.m. Then I do my social media, get up, and then I interact with my family till I have to leave for work. Arrive to work. At some point, I'm going to get a workout in, and then I start taking care of the day-to-day stuff that just comes with running a business. Staff meetings, interacting with my staff, checking with them, taking care of whatever fires have to get taken care of, and then around 2, that's when it really starts picking up around here. Athletes come in. I'll spend some time, depending on the time of year, right? Because there's a big seasonality that comes with training sports performance. I will interact with the athletes in a number of different areas, be on the floor, and I do that till 6 or 7 at night, sometimes later, sometimes earlier. This time of year, it might be a little bit earlier just because I'm going to go watch my kids play sports.
Damn right.
And then go home.
Do it all over again. Yep.
Right? Bow season, that the 4 a.m. changes over to getting a tree stand, but it's all right.
Well, I've jokingly asked other people this question too. Like, what would you've got, like 12 people watching this.
Awesome.
So,
right.
What would you say to somebody watching this podcast that's either, looking to either start down that road of either strength and performance, or just a guy like me that's 50, 52 years old that's like, I got to start getting after it. I'm not going to the gym, and I need some accountability. What would you say to somebody that might be on the bubble and thinking about getting after it?
On the bubble, thinking about getting after it. Number one thing do is figure out your why. Why do you want to do that? Are you kind of disgusted with yourself because you're overweight? Are you tired of being in pain? Or, hey, I'm just looking for a change. Figure out your why. What's behind it? Because I can't really help you unless you understand your why. But I can also help pull that out of you. And then, hey, give me a ring. Let's chat, and let's see where we can take it from there. Have you come in for an evaluation? But I think that's the number one thing is before you come in here, go to any gym for that reason. If you want to make a change and have success, whether it's here or at Mike's or at Bowman's place or a number of different fitness facilities around here, understand your why, that's behind it. Because once you know your why, the how becomes way easier to do.
Yeah, you've got the target that you're shooting the bow at, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, thanks for spending some time today. This has been fun. It's always
a good time, right?
Always a good time talking to you, Stan. But on the serious side, thank you for the help that you've given me to get, and I've come to you before an Ironman saying, hey, listen, I want to be this weight or I want to get strong. You've helped me through that. You've helped me through a lot of nutrition stuff. We talk business and life. And,
right.
I consider you one of my closest friends. And you're on the short list of people I could call if the world went to hell. Maybe I'd be coming to your house because I know you have plenty of artillery.
Right.
But thanks, and I appreciate it. So 95% of all podcasts die before 7 episodes.
Right.
This is number 8. So
going strong.
Couldn't think of a better person to do it with. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
I hope you guys got something out of this. Stan's a cool cat. If you're thinking about getting into the fitness arena in some level, you want to start working on yourself, or if you have a kid that you need to get strong, get moving, whatever, come down, check it out. Skolfield Sports Performance Center is at 15 Lund Road?
15 Lund Road, Saco, Maine. Website is SkolfieldPerformance.com. If you want to see what it's like on a daily basis here, go to our Instagram, Skolfield_sports, and check out our story. I post something every day.
Every day.
Gives you an idea of hey, what it's like to go down here.
And if you look closely, every once in a while, I make the feed. I think more they just do it just to be nice. But anyway, thanks, Stan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, talk soon.
Thanks.